All right, let's dive right in. We've got a real economic mystery on our hands today, one that was all over the headlines this past holiday season.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw headlines just like this one, right? They were everywhere. And they all painted this pretty gloomy picture of, a totally tapped out consumer and a really weak end to the year. It seems simple enough. People just stopped spending.
Okay, but what if I told you that in that same month, December, shoppers actually spent a record-breaking $817 billion? Yeah, that's the most money ever spent in a single month. Ever.
So, what is going on here? How can both of those things be true? Was it a holiday bust or a record-breaking boom? That's the puzzle we're going to solve today. We're going to pull back the curtain and get to the real story behind those numbers.
And the key? The one thing that unlocks this whole mystery is a little statistical tool that, honestly, most of us have never even heard of. But it has this huge impact on the economic news we see every day. It's called seasonal adjustment.
So what does it do? Well, think of it like this. Its job is to kind of smooth out the data. You can't really compare shopping in December with all the holidays to a quiet month like February. It's not an apples-to-apples comparison. So this tool smooths out that huge, predictable holiday spike so economists can see the real underlying trend. But here's the big question. What if that smoothing process is kind of broken?
And that's where we hit a snag. See, these models, they were built for an old-school 9-to-5 world. They're based on this idea of trading days, which basically means weekdays, no holidays. But hello, we live in a 24/7 world now, right? Online shopping never sleeps. So does this whole concept of trading days even make sense anymore? It's a real question.
Okay, so let's get down to it. Just how much did this little adjustment actually change the numbers for December? Well, get ready for this, because the answer is absolutely staggering. And it's the real reason behind all those confusing headlines. The seasonal adjustment tool subtracted $82 billion from the actual sales numbers. No, that is not a typo. The model basically decided that $82 billion of real money that people actually spent just didn't count for the official headline number. It's wild. And this chart right here just lays it all out plain as day. Look at that bar on the left. That's what we actually spent, that record-breaking $817 billion. Now look at the bar on the right. That's what got reported after that massive deduction. It makes it look like sales were just meh, totally flat. Now, to be fair, there's always a big downward adjustment in December. That's normal. But this was not normal. This year's $82 billion subtraction was by far the largest one we have ever seen. It's a huge historical outlier, and that really makes you start to question the model they're using. So, to really see how this all went down, let's zoom in a little bit. We're going to look at the 4 biggest retail categories. These are the big guys. Together, they make up 60% of all sales. And trust me, this is where the story gets really interesting.
So yeah, here they are, the heavy hitters. You've got e-commerce, cars, restaurants, and groceries. These 4 pretty much drive the entire retail economy. So let's take them one by one and see what that adjustment did.
All right. First up, the absolute powerhouse of modern retail, e-commerce. And this is where you can really see how that old-school trading days model just falls apart. So in the real world, where we all live and shop, online sales went through the roof, a record spike, hitting an all-time high of $166 billion. But after the adjustment, poof, the official report made it look like nothing happened, like sales barely even budged.
And here's the kicker. The real story behind the scenes is that online sales actually grew by a super healthy 6.7% compared to last year. That's fantastic growth, but it was completely invisible in the final headline number.
Okay, so that's e-commerce. Next up, let's head over to the car dealerships, another huge piece of the economic puzzle. And, you guessed it, another victim of this weird statistical adjustment.
And the story here is just as crazy. The reality? Auto sales jumped more than 10% from November. That is a very strong month. The official, adjusted number, it actually showed a small dip. A 10% gain was turned into a loss. It's unbelievable.
Okay, what about going out? Restaurants and bars. We all felt it, right? Trying to get a table in December was nuts. But did the official data capture that holiday rush?
Nope. It's the exact same story all over again. A totally healthy 3.5% increase in the real world got statistically squashed into a negative number. The reality of packed restaurants was just erased from the official story.
And finally, let's talk groceries. Think about all that food you bought for big holiday meals.
Well, that translated into a huge 6.1% spike in actual spending, but what was reported? A measly 0.2% increase. It was basically reported as flat. Once again, the model completely hid what was really happening with shoppers during the busiest month of the year.
So, okay, let's wrap this investigation up. What's the final verdict here on this so-called disappointing holiday season? Well, when you finally look past that giant adjustment, a completely different picture comes into focus.
The evidence is just crystal clear. The raw, unadjusted, real-world data tells the story of a really strong consumer and an absolutely record-breaking holiday season. That whole narrative about a disappointing holiday, it was basically a statistical illusion, created by a model that just can't seem to keep up with our modern 24/7 world.
And this whole thing just goes to show you why it's so important to look past the headline and dig just a little bit deeper. The real story is often hiding right there in the raw data. So the next time you see a big economic headline, I hope you'll remember this and ask yourself this one simple question. What's the unadjusted story?